The views and opinions expressed in this podcast by the host or the guest do not necessarily reflect the views of Paranormal Buzz Radio or its sponsors. Use of any material produced by Paranormal Buzz Radio without express written consent is strictly prohibited. For information on everything Paranormal Buzz Radio has to offer, visit our website, paranormalbuzzradio.com. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter and Instagram. Listener discretion is advised.
You are listening to the Healing Light Podcast. I'm your host, Caitlin Greenglass. Join me as I explore the world of spirituality, holistic practices, alternative healing methods, mysticism, the paranormal, and the unexplained, plus more. New episodes are available every Tuesday at 7 Eastern Standard Time on Spreaker or wherever you get your podcasts. Hello, everyone. You are listening to the Healing Light Podcast. I'm your host, Caitlin Greenglass. The Healing Light Podcast is available for download every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the Spreaker app, but you can also find me on Amazon Prime, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or really whatever platform you get your podcasts. I would like to say a huge thank you to the Paranormal Buzz radio team, Shay, Deb, Allison, and Rebecca. Send me your show ideas of the guests you want to hear from. I'm always also looking for guests to interview. You can send me a message on any of my social media platforms. You can also find the Healing Light NH on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube as Healing Light NH. Thank you so much for listening. I am very excited. I have wanted to cover this topic for a long, long time. And I have two fantastic women as guests tonight. They have their own podcasts, which I listen to religiously, the High Priestess Hype Club. They are D'Alba and Julie Atkinson, and we are going to dive into astrology. So let's have a great discussion. So welcome to the Healing Light Podcast, ladies.
Thanks,
Thank
Caitlin. You. Hey.
So nice to be here. So, Mary and I we talk about astrology a lot, right? And I took one class with you, Mary, I don't know, years ago.
Yeah.
I know very little about astrology. I mean, I know that I guess I'm supposed to be a Taurus. I was born in May 20th, and supposedly you have qualities, or I have qualities that are supposed to be very Taurus-like. And I know that people can be compatible or not compatible with other signs, but I guess it goes deeper than that. You do charts and stuff, and you align with planets and all that. So and Julie, you too. So why don't you give the breakdown about really what astrology is and why it's more than just the day you were born?
Yeah, that's an excellent question, Caitlin. I'll jump in first, Jules, if you don't mind.
No, please.
So astrology is the, mapping of the stars. We think about astronomy when it's mapping, the actual universe, right? That's astronomy. Well, astrology is mapping the universe and how it influences us as human beings. So it's the spiritual side of the mapping of the universe. In astrology, there's all kinds of things that are going on there. But the things that I like to focus on when I'm first looking at someone's chart, or if you're getting to know someone out there, you've met someone, you're thinking about going into business with them or dating them. There's that joke out there where someone calls their mom and says, "Hey, Mom, what time was I born?" And Mom says back, "Stay away from that person," because it's usually they're looking up your astrology chart. What I look for is three things right off the bat. I look for your sun sign, your moon sign, and then also your ascendant or your rising sign. So I call those the big three, and I know out there a lot of astrologers call them the big three. So like for me, my big three are Sagittarius sun, I'm a Pisces rising sign, and then my moon is in Aquarius. And Jules, I know with you, I love you got to tell them yours, Jules, because it's so good.
So I have an Aries sun, an Aries moon, and a Taurus rising. But Mary always laughs. There's a thing when you get deep into this, I'll make it real short, but you can relocate your chart to where you live compared to where you were born. So where I grew up, I was a triple Aries and possibly an energetic nightmare. But I think what's interesting, Caitlin, and I'll let Mary keep going, but Caitlin is a Taurus sun, but I'm a Taurus rise. So it'll be neat. We could talk about how that can show up differently, theoretically, but Mary's still at the beginning. So continue.
No, I love that you pointed that out, Jules. So the sun sign, your sun sign, which is the horoscope you read in the paper, when someone asks what's your sign, this is what you tell people. So it was where the sun was the day you were born. And so for me, when I was born December 10th. My sun is in Sagittarius, and everybody born on that day, their sun is in Sagittarius, right? And what that is your core and your personality. So, when you read the characteristics of your sun sign, it can tell you a lot. It can tell you, again, depending on your sign, there's always, the positives and then the things that are not so positive. So, you hear about Sagittarians being really adventurous, but we're also flighty, and we don't like to really be tied down. Whereas a Taurus can be very organized and very, they can be organized, but they're also worried about their money and how they look and like the kind of the finer things in life. But also they could kind of get, real stubborn, and, they're the bull. So it depends on each sign is got its positives and negatives. So that's your sun sign. That's your personality. People will know you as that sign. Your moon sign is your emotions. So before I keep going here, I just thought, did you have a question on that? Because I thought I might have heard you say something.
No, I just, I was thinking about what you said about how you're certain traits of your sun sign. Like, I know with Taurus, I'm supposedly that I'm more family oriented, grounded, but on the negative side, I can be very, very stubborn and organized. I have to really make an effort at that. I mean, I have to having ADHD and being a Taurus, I guess, is just kind of out of whack, because in order to be organized, I'd have to be completely 100% make myself feel focused on something. So I used to think that I felt like a Taurus, but then as I've gotten older, I'm like, I don't know. So,
well, I think that's an excellent point, because a lot more goes into your chart other than your sun sign. So that's an excellent point. So you pull some of those characteristics, but there's other things that are influencing your chart. And I think a Taurus, if you're not exactly organized, you might be someone who likes to buy stuff, or you're just very strict with your budget. So, that could be it too a little bit. I hear the giggles, so I'm like, okay.
Thank you. Thank you for calling me out. And my wife, she's going to hear this, and she's going to be like nodding her head. Yeah, Mary, you're right. Sorry. Go ahead.
Love you. Mean it. I really do. Listen, like I said, we all have our some really characteristics where you're like, yeah, that's totally me. And then some are like, well, I'm not really like that, but we all have them, and that's okay. So your moon sign is where your emotions draw from, right? And how you react emotionally. It can be also your intuition. And it's the nurturing side of things. So again, moon and emotions. We're speaking of that, when this is being recorded, we're coming up on a full moon. So some folks might be feeling a little extra energy around them when this gets released, on Tuesday. But the moon sign really talks about how, when you have an emotional situation, how you can deal with it. Now, mine being an Aquarius, I can detach quickly. So if I have an emergency in front of me, or I have something where I can't be emotional about it, moon and Aquarius can do that. Not always good in relationships, if you can just, but then an Aquarius will logically think about it later, or have something happen later. So with Jules, her moon is in Aries, Julie, you have, and again, another thing I love about Julie, the Aries moon, her Aries moon. So Jules, you have to talk about that.
Aries moon is interesting. So I have an Aries moon, and so does my youngest. So I'm an Aries sun, and they're a Cancer sun. But so, which they're a little more like homey and cozy in different ways. But when we both get mad, we get mad fast. And like, it might take a while to build up to it, but the Aries moon is very like, excuse me, I'm sorry, what? Like, I don't know if I'm describing this well, but it's hot and it's fast. And then like, okay, we're fine. Never mind. Moving on. So, but I've noticed I can start to pick out Aries moon people because we have a similar kind of like feel to it. And it's interesting. The more I learn from Mary, the more I find like, oh, I bet this person has like this kind of placement. And then you can kind of look it up for fun and like as you're practicing and you can understand. Is that what you meant? I mean, am I being too Aries about this?
No,
right now?
Perfect. Well, because I mean, I can't describe the fire of the Aries moon like you can, Jules. So
it's instantaneous. It takes a lot to get there, and then it's a lot. It's like 0 to 60. So,
yeah.
But
how do you get to, like, how do you know what your moon? I know how your sun is, but how do you find out what your moon sign is and what your rising sign is? Like,
so
how do you?
That's a great question. So you need your birth dates, your full date, your birth time, which is really important, and then your birthplace. So where you showed up in the world. Birth times sometimes are a little difficult to get. So if you can ask family, and I mean even extended, there's someone in your family that's the like memory keeper. They'll say, oh, I remember you were born around like the evening, whatever. If you can't get it, at least try to narrow down a time or get your long birth certificate or call vital records. Sometimes, we have to search around for it a little bit, but the long birth certificate is a good place to start. And then you run a chart, and you can do that free online, a bunch of different places. I use the paid version of astro.com, but you can get a free chart there. And then you can see where the planets were when you were born, because an astrological chart, all it is a snapshot of the planets on the day you were born, at the time, at the place. So it's like it took a picture of you.
Right. Okay.
Which
all right.
Which is cool. Yeah.
Very cool. So I know from my birth certificate, I looked at it. I was born at 1 p.m. It was a Tuesday. And I was born in Pittsfield, Massachusetts. Pittsfield General Hospital. So what am I? Would you like? What would, if you don't mind me putting you on the spot?
Oh no, I don't mind at all. I'm actually I actually think, Caitlin, I might have your chart. I'm gonna. I was
going to say, who wants to run it?
I think you did.
Yeah.
You don't have to go into great details. It's just I was just curious. But I bet Julie, sounds like you could probably guess what I am.
Well, I don't know that I'm that good.
You are, Jules. You are. But here's a question for you, Caitlin. I had you in. See, no, this is why it's important. I had you in my records at 4:30 in the afternoon.
Oh, really?
So you think you're at 1:30?
Oh boy.
See.
Oh boy.
Well, that could be interesting to I do and see the difference.
Right.
I could be wrong, because if I said specifically 4:30, that must be what is on my birth certificate. I was thinking 1, because that's what I always thought it was like. I know it was in the afternoon, but that's probably so. Let's go with 4:30, because that sounds extremely accurate.
Well, if for some reason we find out later it's not, you just tell me, I'll fix it in my records. But going off the 4:30 time frame, your moon is in Cancer. So, girl, I would, again, as the time of this recording, we have the full moon in Cancer coming up. So, right. So this is good for folks to know. If there's a full moon in your sign, you're going to be feeling it not only in your sun sign, but also your moon sign. So, for example, like say, Vaughn right now. So Julie's youngest has a Cancer sun. He's also going to be feeling it because the Cancer moon's going to be snuggling up to his sun. So a good thing we're talking about this, Jules, because
I'll be ready.
For Vaughn. Yeah, but for you, Caitlin, it's saying like, okay, we've got this heightened energy, and if there are things that you want to focus on within your home, because Cancer is all about where they feel like they're home and kind of nesting and nurturing and all of that, you may start making some plans to make some changes in the house. We also have Mars in Cancer right now, so that might take some action, but I will tell everybody to bite your tongue right now. But anyway, so like having the moon in Cancer, Caitlin, what's really important to you is the home, the family, like being close to people you really love. And, you might, it's Cancer's moon, sometimes if you hurt them, they're like, I'm going to hurt you right back. I'm going to get you, like it's just, Cancer moons are very sensitive. That's,
wow.
And Aries moon is like you lit a fuse and the fuse is burning and then finally it goes boom. Cancers feel like you stab them in the heart. So it's a little different.
Oh my gosh. Wow. I said that to somebody once who hurt me. I said, if you had stabbed me in the heart, it would have hurt a lot less. I said that. Yeah. Wow. Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Cool.
So that's your Cancer moon. Yeah. So it's good to know because how you react emotionally, once you know this information about anything in your chart, you can say, oh, I love that. I want to enhance that about me. Or, ooh, maybe I know I get emotional about something. Maybe I want to cool that down a little bit. So it really is a good tool for information for self-development.
Okay. Yeah. That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Great. All right. Interesting.
So the other piece that is really good to know about yourself is your rising sign. Okay. So the rising sign is how people perceive you. So how they see you when they first meet you, say, like first impression kind of thing. Okay. It also is the way that you react to information when you first get it. So your initial reaction to things. Okay. So my rising is Pisces. So a lot of times people don't always perceive me as a Sagittarius at when they first meet me because I can be very like watery and healing because Pisces is the fish. It's one of the water signs. And just very calm and nurturing. Kind of that's how they perceive me at first. But then once they get to know me, they can see the Sagittarius popping out. So it's originally how you perceive people. And like I said, if there's a situation that comes in, I'll say, oh, gee, how, maybe I can look at both sides of this. How is this emotion? Like, what's the other side of this emotion? So that can be interesting. I can play devil's advocate a little bit. Jules' rising is Taurus, right? Well, it being where you are, Jules, it's Taurus.
Yes. Yeah. So I think what I notice a lot, especially when people first meet me, I think I seem a little more grounded than I often am. I remember one time at work, we went to like a social after work one day and somebody looked at me, they were like, this doesn't seem like you at all. And I'm like, what do you mean? They're like, you're like really talkative and like kind of all over the place. And I was like, well, I'm not at work. And I don't know if this like makes a lot of sense, but it's a little bit like they see more of that Taurus is forward before they get deeper to know who I am, which is a little more ADD and chaotic. Right. So, but, does that track, Mary? Do you like, I don't know, when you met me, I don't know how the Taurus looks. I'm trying to figure out what other people say. Cause me being me, I'm just me balling around. Right.
I think, when I first met you, Jules, it was, you and I kind of met in a way where we were talking about stuff that I remember you taking notes. Like it was very like kind of like grounded and you were very organized. And then as time went on, we kind of, the Aries strong and powerful and, warrior like woman came out. So I rather say that than scattered and, but yeah, definitely. I think it's the mask. Your ascendant is the mask that you show to the world. So like in a work situation, you have, it's like how you want people to perceive you. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. It's a lot of like organization, bullet journals, like note taking.
Yeah. And they're all pretty. And they're not just like that minimalistic bullet journal. They are pretty. Yes.
I need them to be cute.
Yeah, exactly. And Caitlin, your rising sign is Libra. So people see you as the great negotiator. You're someone that can definitely see both sides of things. You're the peacemaker. You want to bring people together to try to get them to listen to both sides. I mean, you are definitely a person that is great with language. So Libras are very good at speaking. They can be also about justice. So, and I know you, Caitlin, so I know you do a lot of work around like volunteering and putting good energy out there with some of the other things that you do. So that's definitely tracks for a Libra. Like you want to see peace in the world.
Right. Oh,
and
yeah.
so that really
do.
tracks. Yeah. So that's good for also, if you were working in customer service or anything like that, you would be like, all right, let me see both sides, the customer and our side, and how do we bridge that? And I think that's great for the type of work that you do.
That is really fascinating. Wow, that just explains so much. All right, so I just thought, yeah, that's really cool. So, and there's so many questions around that, but compatibility and how we interact with people. But we're getting close to time, so really quickly, if you can, I asked you about Taylor Swift's chart, and you sent me, I think, Travis Kelce's, and honestly, when I look at it, I'm like, that just goes way over my head. But are you able to sum it up, like what we think about, like Taylor and Travis?
I can speak to it really quickly. So Taylor so we're going to talk about the big three for her. She's a Sagittarius sun, she's a Scorpio rising, and she's a moon in Cancer. So you and Taylor have the same moon. And I think Taylor feels things very deeply. Let's look at the Kanye West running up on stage and grabbing her, what was it, the Grammy, I think. And she really looked like poof, right? It was a Grammy. So she and also her songs, oh my God, they're so deep with the talking about love and how she's feeling about things and the things in the world. So and she's a performer. Sagittarius are performers. With Travis, unfortunately, before I move on from Taylor, hold on. Let me say one really quick thing. So the other thing, when you get to know someone, if you can run their chart, this is an example of this. Taylor has a lot of planets in Capricorn. So she looks like that businesswoman. We know she's gone up against a few big music conglomerates about her music. So that's where that comes out. So that's why I say it's good to know the big three, but also knowing her whole chart, it fits because of how strong she is about her business. Okay. The reason why I said unfortunately with Travis is because we don't have his birth time. So we don't know his rising, but his sun is in Libra and his moon is in Sag. And so he's a guy that loves to have balance, right? Libras and Sages are a nice pairing, and his moon's in Sag. So he's always encouraging her and lifting her up. That sun, be brighter, girl. So I think they have a lot there that's in common, and the other thing I'll just say, as far as relationships and astrology compatibility is, these are blueprints. These are what we do with that energy we come in with. So, if you run your charts and it's not, the compatibility isn't, you're kind of like, I don't like this compatibility, even as business partners, anything like that. Remember, you can always see what the pitfalls are or the strengths are by running a chart. And you don't have to necessarily say, we're not compatible. It's just, what do we need to work on together?
Okay. All right. Well, this is all great stuff. Thank you so much. Now, do you, and you, Julie, too, do you both do can people come to you and book a reading for their chart, or is that just you, Mary?
Well, no. So we both have our own offerings, which we can talk about in a minute. But with the High Priestess Hype Club, we actually have what we call a witch's brew reading or a magical brew reading if you don't like witch's brew. But what we do is I will look at your astrology chart for the month and Julie and recommend some things to focus on for the month, or just watch out for if you need to. And then Julie puts together some magical ideas for you to have a good month, really, just to work with the month and the energies that are happening. Am I saying that right, Julie? I just want to make sure.
Oh, yeah, you're good. Yeah, whatever
Yeah.
it is, whether it's like a meditation or some kind of working, and whatever the level of the person coming to us is, because they're all tailored and they're all specific to that person. So it's not like we're just handing out like a generic January thing. So,
Okay.
yeah,
All
Mary
right.
reads the chart nice and deeply, and then we go from there and how the transits of that month are going to hit their chart specifically. And then what can you do to kind of ride the best wave through that month?
Oh,
So
really cool. Okay.
yeah, and if folks want to get that, that's at hypeclub.live, HYPE club.live, and has
Okay.
all the information right there.
Yep.
I will be looking to book with you two, so because
Awesome.
I could use some guidance, especially with the chaos that is in my life.
Yeah.
All right, so that's great. All right, so that was a very lively discussion, and I am so glad that we talked about that. There is to me, there's just such a mystery around astrological charts and the planets and all that. So it doesn't seem that it's that mysterious now. It seems very sane and logical. All right, great. So, to that end, why don't you both tell everybody where people can book with you and how they listen to your podcast and your website and your social media, all that stuff.
Sure. Jules, you do this really well. Do you want to do the Hype Club stuff?
Sure. So you guys can email us at highpriestesshypeclub@gmail.com. You can find us at our website, which is hypeclub.live. And we are on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, as long as it's still around, at High Priestess Hype Club. You can also find Mary at marydalba.com, and I'm at julieatkinson.com. And if you have anything you want to add, please do.
Yeah, well, just come see us. There's a lot of information on our sites. We like to blog, stuff like that. So, and we also love to hear from folks. So if you listen to the podcast, you have a question, or you just want to reach out to us with questions, we're here to help as best we can.
That's
yeah,
great.
and you can listen to us at High Priestess Hype Club on pretty much any podcasting platform that you subscribe to.
Oh, great. Thank you so much. And I can testify to your podcast how awesome it is. I don't listen to podcasts nearly enough, but I have a few that are my favorites, and yours is one of them. So you both are highly knowledgeable, and you have a great rapport and conversation. So everyone tune in and listen.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Caitlin.
Thanks.
Yeah, thank you so much for both being guests today. You are the first double guest that I booked, so that's really cool.
Woo-hoo.
Yeah,
We're
woohoo! So
fancy.
you're fancy. All right, so thank you everyone. Thank you everyone for listening to the Healing Light podcast. Again, I'm your host, Caitlin Greenglass. So send me your show ideas, etc. If you want to be a guest, let me know. And once again, you can find the Healing Light podcast on such apps as Spreaker, iHeartRadio, Spotify, etc. Every Tuesday, a new show launches at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.